It's the flagship build of Phase 1.
We finally got the green light to take you guys through the assembly process. Since the noise testing is mandatory, we've officially passed the environmental standards. Smooth sailing there. Now comes the hardest part, heading to the transport office for the official government inspection. This stage is all about safety. They'll be scrutinizing the brakes, lights, and critical systems. But of course, for us here at Simon's Wonder Garage, getting it road legal is just step one. Our goal is to build the most flawless AE86 on the entire internet.
Part 1. The vision and the Takumi details. These are all the exterior parts for the AE86. Honestly, installing these shiny components is so therapeutic. It really feels like building a 1:64 or 1:18 scale model. And look at this, it's iconic, the reddish-brown seats. These are the exact Fujiwara Takumi spec. They're actually a bit worn out, so restoring them is going to be a massive challenge. For this project, we are aiming for extreme perfection. Every single screw, every rubber weather strip must be detailed to the absolute limit. Part 2. The legend under the hood, 4AGE. Alright, let's look over here. How do we make a 40-year-old chassis feel young again? It starts with the famous 4AGE. It's one of the top 10 legendary JDM engines. To be honest, the horsepower on this generation wasn't huge. It's not like the later black top engine that pushed nearly 200 horsepower. This one is only making a bit over 100 horsepower. But on a car this lightweight, the performance is still phenomenal. The key is the rear-wheel drive layout. It turns this ordinary grocery getter into a god-tier machine capable of conquering Mount Akina. Part 3. The wiring nightmare. Opening this up, look at this mess. Apart from the mechanicals, this spaghetti tangle of wiring is a mechanic's worst nightmare. On a car this old, the steering column area is completely corroded. It's a huge headache because you can't just test every single wire. It's like an old person having a stroke. One moment the connection works, the next it doesn't. So we've decided to relume the entire wiring harness to ensure this car stays young forever. Part 4. The rust reality check. Due to time constraints, we've already stripped the AE86 down to the bare metal, and honestly, it's rotten. The places you couldn't see are rusted. The places you could see are rusted through. The previous owner just slapped some silicone sealant over the holes and called it a day. The frame rails have rust, the water channels and drainage points are all corroded. Look at the rear window hatch. This is a common disease on every AE86 because the original design didn't have proper drainage here. Part 5. The Trueno badge and the hidden rot. Check out the tail. That prominent Trueno nameplate means this is the pop-up headlight version, the Apex twin-valve 16-valve. Back in the day, this was high-end stuff. But let's open the trunk and see just how high-end it is now. Bam! Look at that! The sheet metal is rusted right through. See? I poked right through it. Don't let that pretty tofu shop door fool you. On every car, the bottom water channels are severe rust zones. If I chip off the surface, it crumbles like crispy skin. And these rear wheel arches, I guarantee if I knock on them, it's all rust inside. So the biggest challenge is, how do we make a nearly 40-year-old shell look brand new? Part 6. The auction scam and the makeup car. I used to think Japanese auction sellers were honest. The online photos and description showed a clean undercarriage. That was the car's biggest selling point. But the moment we put it on the rotisserie and flipped it over, I was shocked. This is more thrilling than opening a blind box. Surface rust I can handle, but the chassis? They literally used tin foil and adhesive to cover the rot.
then sprayed over it with undercoating to trick the customer. This is a total cosmetic cover-up, a makeup car. Instead of drifting down Mount Akina, this car is turned into Fujiwara tofu dregs. Rubbish. If this were bought domestically, I'd demand a triple refund. But now we have no one to complain to. We just have to make the best of a bad situation. Beat a dead horse. So, a warning to everyone. Buying cars from online auctions is high risk. Nothing beats seeing it in person. Part 7. Conclusion. Luckily, this car found its way to Simon's Wonder Garage. Now it's time to test our panel beating skills. Let's get to work. The Rebirth, Bodywork and E-Coating. Part 1. The Bodywork Marathon. It took us a solid month just to finish the bodywork and panel beating on this shell. The next step? Stripping the paint off the entire car. If we want to restore this car to factory specs and ensure it lasts for decades, we have to send the chassis to a professional automotive e-coating assembly line. That's right, we are giving this AE86 chassis the full e-coat, electrophoresis treatment. Part 2. The prep work. Of course, before the dip, there's a lot of prep work involved. The most critical part is sanding off every bit of residual paint and rust from the shell. Only then can we proceed with the e-coating. Now that we've finished sanding the bare shell, we've delivered it to a standard automotive e-coating facility. Part 3. The rebirth in the tank. Alright, next up, we're dropping this AE86 chassis into the e-coat tank for its phoenix-like rebirth. For a classic car restoration, this is an incredibly rare process to witness, so don't miss this. Keep your eyes peeled. First, the workers hang the body shell, doors, and other panels onto the conveyor hooks. Part 4. The science of cleaning, degreasing. As the conveyor moves, we enter the first stage of the e-coat process, hot washing and pre-degreasing. Pre-degreasing plays a vital role in the e-coat process. Its main function is to remove oil, fingerprints, and other impurities from the metal surface. This ensures the surface is perfectly clean, guaranteeing the uniformity and adhesion of the final coating. Ultimately, this significantly boosts the metal's corrosion resistance and the coating's durability. Next step, the body shell dips into this green tank. This is a phosphate solution used for phosphating the car. This process creates a phosphate conversion coating on the metal surface. It significantly enhances corrosion resistance, wear resistance, and adhesion, creating a perfect foundation for the subsequent processes. After phosphatizing, the shell goes through multiple rinsing and dipping stages. Only then does it officially enter the electrophoresis, or e-coat stage. Here's how it works. The car body carries a negative charge, while the paint particles carry a positive charge. Through a series of chemical reactions, basically opposites attract, the paint particles are drawn to the metal, adhering evenly to the surface to form a protective film. This ensures that every single nook and cranny of the chassis gets perfectly uniform coverage, even in places a spray gun can't reach. The final step is the curing process. Look, our AE86 is about to enter the baking oven. After baking at 170 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes, ta-da! Our AE86 shell is finally fresh out of the oven, looking brand new. Part 1. The verdict on e-coating. Friends, Do you think classic cars need e-coating? Let me know in the comments. As you can see, after a ton of hard work, we finally got this car back from the e-coat process. This is undoubtedly the hardest step in classic car restoration, but it's also the dream step for everyone. I imagine every classic car enthusiast wants to give their ride this kind of chance at a total rebirth. But honestly, I don't recommend everyone do this. Why? Because the pre-treatment requirements are incredibly high. Every detail, the panel work, the old paint, the crevices, all the dirt and rust must be completely removed to get a perfect result. So, let me reiterate, not every car needs this process. Don't just blindly chase the hype. First, it's super expensive. Second, it takes forever. Third, it's really not necessary for every build. So, when you're building a classic, stick to your own plan and budget. Don't get caught up in what others are doing. Part 2. Why this specific car needed the e-coat. As you saw in the earlier videos, the bottom half was practically rotting away. We needed the e-coat to penetrate those places our hands just can't reach, ensuring long-term durability. With this level of protection, I don't think we'll have to worry about rust or rot for another 8 to 10 years easily. Just look at the bodywork now. The texture is amazing. This is actually the first car our shop has ever sent for e-coating, and fittingly, it's an AE86. Moving forward, we'll keep refining our craftsmanship step by step. Part 3. The factory fresh result. Looking at the inner frame, honestly, standard spray painting just can't match this level of coverage and adhesion in every single nook. Now the chassis looks brand new, just like it rolled out of the factory. It's beautiful. Part 4. The next steps: filler, wax, and paint. After e-coating, the next step is sanding the body. Think of the e-coat as a high-quality epoxy primer. Since it's already done, we can skip the epoxy step and go straight to body filler or putty work. We'll sand that down, apply the primer surfacer, and then we're ready for paint. This gives a much better finish. But wait, we have 2 more critical steps before painting: undercoating or rust armor for the chassis, and cavity wax injection to seal the internal structures. With this protection, this AE86 will be ready to fight for another 40 years. Alright guys, masks on, let's get spraying. Ta-da! Seeing this panda black and white colored AE86? Are you moved at this moment? I think friends who could persist in watching this long video up to this point are definitely true car lovers. Next, we will rebuild this AE86's classic 4A GE engine. This is a 1.6-liter displacement, dual overhead cam, 16-valve inline-4 engine produced by Toyota in the 80s. Although the factory horsepower is only 130 horsepower, after upgrading, it can easily break through 200 horsepower. Paired with the AE86's factory weight of 940 kilograms, plus the front engine rear drive 50-50 weight distribution, back in the day on the downhill of Mount Akina, it defeated a crowd of high-horsepower god cars in Gunma Prefecture, creating an undefeated myth. After our initial diagnosis, this engine has signs of a blown head gasket, cylinder head breach. Moreover, the cylinder block walls have slight scoring, scuffing. The 4 pistons have varying degrees of scratches. The main bearings and rod bearings all need to be replaced. Oh my God! Spending time and money is one thing, but the key is that parts for this old guy are really hard to find. Luckily, our Wonder Garage has many friends. Do you see this table full of brand new spare parts? Here I want to advise friends who want to play with classic cars. Entering the world of old cars is truly as deep as the ocean. Why could the 4A GE serve as a people's engine? Because it's simple. With a small size, it can burst out relatively large horsepower. Back in the day, I feel it was already,
Well, I can't say a godlike existence, but an existence with very high cost performance. It is fuel efficient and durable, and the entire repair cost performance is very high. When we disassembled it, we saw its condition. Its cylinder block has wear, and its pistons are already scored. So our plan is, don't do it by halves. Go big or go home. We will directly put a set of forged pistons on it. Okay, take a look. Come, these 4 bling-bling ones are the forged pistons. Now, this is the factory piston. The factory piston's diameter is 81 millimeters, but now this one is 81.5 millimeters, just a little bit bigger. Why? Because this way is simple. We can directly perform an boring, on this cast iron cylinder block, enlarging it by 0.5 millimeters. Then we can use these directly. The benefit of this is that you save the money on re-sleeving, installing cylinder liners. Furthermore, re-sleeving is still something that for many people is not that reassuring. This is a very simple and effective method within our routine engine overhaul. Now, many people will ask, why not enlarge it a bit more? Well, actually, it's not that you can't, but if you enlarge it more, the things you might need to modify will be a bit more. This method can be used together with the factory connecting rods. It increases the displacement slightly, but it will be easier to operate. There is a trick I want to tell everyone, because the forged piston comes with a different type of wrist pin, piston pin. See that? So if, like now, you want to install it back onto this factory connecting rod, you see, we have to remachine the inside. We have to make a bronze bushing. See it? Make a bronze bushing. Only then can this wrist pin be used. After making the bronze bushing, of course, you have to drill 2 holes to let oil get inside for lubrication. This is a quite critical step. Speaking of this, personally, I feel this is the method with the highest cost performance. Because for a set of forged pistons, if we add shipping from overseas, it should be about 8,000 RMB. Adding the machining and miscellaneous stuff, maybe 10,000 RMB and it's done. If you were to buy factory parts now, let me tell you. Firstly, they are hard to buy. Secondly, if you buy them, they might be even more expensive than this. So, besides the pistons, let me introduce the other things to everyone, one by one. The table is basically full. Come, the most indispensable thing for repairing a car is the factory overhaul kit, repair kit. So this is the factory major overhaul kit. It's rubber rings, miscellaneous gaskets, and some we have already taken out. Besides that, as I often tell everyone, since we are tearing it down so thoroughly to repair the car, there is money you cannot save. Oil pump, water pump, this money you absolutely must not save. Main and rod bearings, right, and thrust washers. For these things, brothers who have the means, try your best to replace them with new ones. This is the only way to ensure that after this engine is done, at the very least, it can run for another 10 or 8 years. Apart from this, look at the whole table. No bling-bling screws. The screws have all undergone our processing. After zinc plating, they will present a more perfect state. When assembled, the entire engine will absolutely be like new. All right, enough talk. Next, follow our camera lens. Let's go together to immersively assemble this AE86 engine. I think this should be the first time on the entire internet. Okay, remember not to miss it. If you think it's good, give us a triple like, subscribe, okay?
Every time we reach this stage, it is a moment I am especially proud of. Look at this Toyota AE86. We have finally looked forward to this final stage of assembly. As you can see with this 4AGE engine, we used forged internals for the pistons to rebuild the entire engine. Now it really is perfect, just like a work of art. After all, it is one of the top 10 famous JDM engines, the 4AGE. As for this car, you can see that for the entire valve cover, everything that needed electroplating or zinc plating has been done. Then parts needing refurbishment, including the gearbox, have all been finished. For the exhaust pipe, we specially applied a black ceramic coating to make it look more textured. To be honest, a process like this is incredibly time-consuming. When you get to this stage of playing with cars, right? You feel, wow, it's quite therapeutic. Look, these parts look just like new. So this restoration thing really requires an infinite amount of time and energy. Of course, money is also essential. Look at this table full of stuff. It is all about to be installed inside. These are all our screws and components. Every single piece. For a car, there are thousands of parts that need to be done like this. Really, you can only see this on the Wonder Garage show, right? Okay. Having finished talking about the engine, we have to take a look at our body shell. Ta-da! Come with me. That's right. After what I calculated to be over half a year of rebuilding, everyone can see the whole shell. From being very rotten before, to e-coating, and finally to the dual-layer painting, we have finally reached this final assembly stage. So at this moment, I am very excited. Regarding the entire chassis, you see, if you want to replicate Initial D, and make Takumi's black and white Panda, it still takes a lot of energy, including the color matching of the whole car, inside, outside, and inside the engine bay, right? It still requires a lot of careful thought. A while ago, a friend asked me, "Hey Simon, why are you pushing yourself so hard, competing with yourself?" If anything, I am competing with myself. Honestly, on all platforms right now, it is really hard to find anyone restoring a car like we do and filming it for everyone to see. And every time I set difficult challenges for myself, every time it has to be better than the last restoration. Don't you think this is pushing oneself? This is my personal requirement for the car, and an improvement in our own restoration craftsmanship. Take this body shell as an example. Everyone has seen it. Regarding the common rust issues, basically, these parts down here were all rotten, so we really needed a lot of time to restore and patch them. In the end, look at the whole chassis. Look at the extreme rust protection we did. This is crucial for it to drive better on the streets in the future, because this is a car meant to be on the road, not just a pure display piece. Okay, the shell is done. Come over here. This is the chassis and interior section of the whole car. The AE86 chassis is relatively simple. Look at the brakes, including the rear axle. Its structure is very simple because it is a front-engine rear drive structure. Behind the engine and transmission, there's just a simple, look, a solid axle connection. So its handling is very simple and direct. Basically, for this car, we focused on restoration. We haven't done too many modifications. A set of coilovers is the only modification. Okay, let's go back to the interior. The interior is probably the hardest part of restoring an old car. Like this 86, everyone knows this color is the same as the anime, this reddish brown. Nowadays, it is actually very hard to find. So for this interior, basically all the plastic parts, where there was aging, we sanded and repainted them again. So don't underestimate it, the whole car has dozens, maybe hundreds of these parts. For most of the seats, we maintained the factory state, and the same goes for the door panels. So it looks like, when finished, this car's interior will be relatively more original. Over here, the front and rear bumpers, we have already restored and refurbished them. Next, the exciting moment has arrived again. We can finally take you guys to assemble the car. Actually, regarding building model cars, everyone often sees people saying, "I built an AE86 model," and so on. But assembling a real car, Oh man, how should I put it? For me, it is also the first time. So the process is still very exciting. I hope for the upcoming video, everyone can join me to immersively assemble it together, okay? Okay, so this is the entire front chassis structure of an AE86. Its point is very special. You see, it is actually similar to what we call a lower control arm, only its structure is split. Look boss, look here. So this time, actually, the most different thing is the chassis components. These iron parts, the cross member, and these components, we adopted a full sandblasting process for all of them. After sandblasting, they also have to go into the electrophoresis tank for e-coating. So you can see this time, the entire chassis, the iron parts look much more textured than before. Because after all, with e-coating, you can penetrate into every single crevice. With spray painting, sometimes it is really hard to cover it very evenly. So with this car, really, you can take a look from down here. The whole chassis, you will find it looks very comfortable, satisfying. Even my own Evo didn't get this kind of treatment, but for the next Evo, I estimate it will be even better than this one. Okay, let's install the coilovers. Music lyrics, whoa, whoa, I think I like you again. Okay fam, this is the chassis of an AE86, a Toyota family sports coupe from the 80s. Looking at it now, you would think it is very primitive. Indeed, compared to today's technology, it really is very primitive. So we can see the whole car has this front engine, rear drive layout. There is not a single electronic device. It is very raw. This front suspension, and then in the back, a simple drive shaft to the rear differential. Often it is just this simplicity that created the legend of the originator of drifting in Initial D. Assembling it this time still gives a great sense of achievement. Now, except for the exhaust pipe, everything else has been installed. We can take a good moment to admire it. It is an immersive experience of the entire chassis car. Come on, let's go.
30 years later, the AE86 taillights drawn by Shuichi Shigeno, that ray of light piercing through the darkness, has transformed into the brightest drifting trajectory in the starry sky of global car culture. When a new generation of youth grips the steering wheel and drives toward the horizon, the engine roar of Initial D still resonates endlessly in their veins. It is still that saying, men are born to play with cars. This is Simon's Wonder Garage. What car do you want to see us restore next? Tell me in the comments. On the bullet screen, remember to hit the triple like, subscribe, share. See you next time. Bringing this AE86 all the way from Japan back to the country, if it were you, would you pay such a huge price to own a dream car?